Parenting Junkie.
Hey, welcome back to the Parenting Junkie, the place to go to love parenting and for parenting from love. If you're expecting a baby, either through adoption or pregnancy, then congratulations! That is the most exciting and amazing thing ever. And I mean that without any sense of cliche. It really, really is the most amazing thing ever. It can also be the most overwhelming and confusing. And if you've ever had a baby, then you'll know that new mothers are the most targeted audience for marketers coming out with so many products because we're vulnerable and we are really sensitive and really easily convinced that we need this or that item or we'll be terrible mothers or our babies won't be safe. We're really, really vulnerable. We're full of guilt and confusion and sensitivity and emotions and hormones that make us very easy targets to market to. That is why we have to be savvy consumers who really consider what we are bringing into our house and whether or not it serves our babies. I want you to remember that throughout human history, the 99% of the items that we are marketed to this day and age didn't even exist, and they raised babies just fine, and people continue to do that in more indigenous cultures. So you don't actually need anything. You don't need anything. Your body can provide to you and your baby basically everything you need. Really, I really mean that. You really just don't need anything. But you live in this culture and there's a bunch of stuff to be had, so it's great to take advantage of those, and some of them are fantastic and super fun and useful, and that's great. But I want you to be mindful of not just flooding yourself in with a bunch of clutter that you don't need. That's just really, really overwhelming and not fun as a new mother at all. Also, you might think, oh, I definitely need this, or I love this, or that's so cute, or that's so cute. You have to remember that babies stay small for a very short amount of time, and their development is very rapid. So very soon you need a completely different set of things, different set of clothes, different set of toys, different set of transportation items. So just be mindful of that and take it slow and test things out and return them or don't buy them or borrow them wherever you can. This week's video is all about a deep dive into which products and items I recommend and which I would stay clear of when it comes to babies. Now, huge disclaimer is that I'm basing all of this on my experience with my 3 children, my body and their bodies and preferences. And of course, everyone's gonna have to find what works for them. But hopefully, the following concepts and ideas and brands that I'll introduce you to will give you some ideas of things that you might need, want, and the things that you really don't need and don't want. So, about sleeping. We have co-slept with all 3 of our babies at least until the age of about 3 months, and usually past then as well. What this means is that we followed the guidelines for safe co-sleeping, such as having the bed up against the wall, the baby in between mom and the wall, having a tight fitted mattress, having the baby use a separate blanket, and all of the other guidelines that you should and must research if you want to do safe co-sleeping. Co-sleeping is considered the default and safest option in most places around the world, but not so in the US. So this is a little bit of a fringe choice if you're living in the US, and some pediatricians will really advise against it and discourage you from it. You've got to go with your comfort level and what you feel is safe and just what gets you and your baby the most amount of sleep. Co-sleeping itself is a totally separate topic, but the reason I bring this up is because it will inform what kind of sleeping gear you need. Theoretically, it is not advised to swaddle, that means tightly wrap a baby, in a blanket with their arms by their side, a baby when you're co-sleeping, because they need their arms to signal to you if they're in danger of any kind. But if you're using a co-sleeper, which is a small bassinet or kind of pillow that's designed for this purpose, on top of your bed, so you're kind of sharing a sleep surface, but the baby is slightly enclosed and can't, you can't roll onto them or they can't fall out, then you can swaddle your baby, or at least that's what the guidelines that I've read and followed have been. So we've used a pillow co-sleeper inside the bed and a swaddle blanket to keep the baby feeling tightly held, and we have found that has led to the best rest for both me and the baby. I am going to be linking to all of the products in this video on the blog post for this video. So you will have a shop, if you like, of all the products with images, and you can click right through to get them. So don't worry about writing all this down. You'll get all of that in the link. But basically for sleeping, we had the pillow, we had a swaddle blanket, and later on we used a sleep sack. This is so that the baby doesn't, have the blanket up on their face, which is dangerous, and doesn't wriggle out of the blanket and get cold during the night. So we really like those options. We've also used a crib for our babies because I can't and don't want to co-sleep all the time for naps, for example. And as the baby grows older, they transition out of my bed and more into their own bed. So we've used a crib for that. A lot of people in the crunchier sphere use a Montessori bed, which is basically just a mattress on the floor, a thin mattress on the floor so the baby can't roll anywhere. Hasn't worked that well for us. We've liked the feeling of the baby being, safely closed in a space where no older siblings can reach them and where they can't, crawl off once they start to crawl. So we've used just a simple pack and play. A really important thing about having a pack and play is that it also serves as a yes space. A yes space is when you have an enclosed environment that a baby is totally safe in. You can just say yes. If you left them there all day, God forbid, they would still be safe, hungry and tired and upset, but safe. Having a yes space is vital to mother's sanity, and it's really good for baby's independent play too. You can put your baby down in the yes space and go and have a shower or go to the bathroom, have peace of mind. That's why I recommend having a pack and play. Another option for this is a play yard, and I love the summer infant play yard for several reasons. First of all, it's really light and easy to open and close. It's big, so once the baby starts crawling, they have space to crawl in there, and all the kids sometimes come in there with them. We actually fill ours up with balls and use it as a ball pool at this point for our older children, and we close it and bring it with us. We fold it and bring it with us to the beach or to a park where there's lots of wood chips that my baby will eat, so that my baby can be free on the floor and crawl around but still be safe and not be putting dangerous things in her mouth. Okay, next is carrying and transportation. I love baby wearing, I really do. I don't like the name because it makes a baby sound like an accessory, but I love the act of holding a baby in a carrier. Your arms are free to do other things like care for other children, make yourself a sandwich, type on your computer, and the baby is safe and snug inside. I personally totally nurse while baby feeding. I know that there's mixed opinions on whether or not that's safe and how it works. For me, it's worked superbly, and I've mostly appreciated the Ergo baby carrier. It is one of the pricier ones out there, but I found it to be the comfiest, and I love that it has the sunshade that covers the baby and supports the baby's head, especially while nursing. Now, I don't know if the official recommendation is to do that for safety reasons, but I have felt safe and I have followed safety guidelines for it. So check out an Ergo baby carrier because I do think it's a worthy investment, but first you have to try it on and make sure it's comfortable for you. There are so many baby carriers out there. I'm not going to be reviewing them all, and I'm not going into wraps and all of that stuff. It's great. It's all great. I personally have found that this one just does the trick for me. I don't need others. But I also have tried out the Infanto, which has been a really great baby carrier, and it's really reasonably priced. So I'm putting those in the shop too, and you can check them out. Only with my third child did I get a carrier vest, which is basically a vest that you can wear over the carrier, so baby and you are snug. They also come in hoodies and jackets. I'm gonna link to those on the shop as well because they transformed this whole baby wearing thing for me. I loved going out in the winter and feeling my baby so snug and cozy, but then I wouldn't know how to, put on my jacket, zip up my jacket. It didn't fit. I love that there's clothes that are designed for this. It makes the whole experience really fun. So if baby wearing is your thing and you're going to be doing a lot of it, I think it's a worthy investment to get one of those snuggy things. Of course, you can also just get a shawl or some kind of big sweater or big jacket. That works totally fine too. Other forms of transportation for us have been strollers. Now, I have 2 strollers that I love, but I have a very specific style when it comes to strollers. I like compact. I like them to look very clean, have very clean design lines. I care how things look. And I like them to be versatile, so I like them to grow with a child. The fact is that the huge focus put on strollers with like baby bassinets is very short-lived, because very quickly within 3, 4, maximum 6 months, your baby is no longer going to be lying in that thing. But the stroller will be relevant for about 3 years to come. So I absolutely love the Bugaboo Bee stroller and the Yo-Yo stroller. I love them both pretty much equally, but if I had to choose just one, I'd choose the yo-yo. It folds tiny, easily, almost with one hand. It goes in a bag that can even be stored on a luggage compartment on a plane because it's so small. It now has a newborn option. So it goes from newborn all the way through, and it's such a great stroller. We have a buggy board that goes on the Bugaboo Bee. I recommend that as well if you have a toddler as well as a baby. It's a very, very useful item to have. Really, it's wonderful. Or at least they have been for me. Next is nursing. I'm very into breastfeeding. I think it's really wonderful and important, and I have enjoyed it immensely. I still do. I think anyone who can do it and who has the inclination should really, really try it. It's a wonderful, wonderful human experience, not to mention that it's really the best for babies. So if you can, great. If you can't, that's okay too. There are great options for that. Which I know less about because I full-time breastfed all of my babies, so I'm not going to be able to really recommend formulas to you. Other than that, the only one that we've tried was Earth's Best organic formula, and it was okay. But that was about 2 bottles, so I can't really tell you about that. Breastfeeding, on the other hand, I can tell you a lot about. So one thing is, we started out with a breastfeeding pillow, a boppy pillow. It is a useful pillow, and I like the way it's designed and it's high quality. I actually found it very comfortable during pregnancy to sleep with that pillow between my legs, kind of propping you up. And I ended up using it for nursing actually behind my back, more of a support. I don't think it's so necessary today though. 3 babies in, I feel that it's better to go with a natural breastfeeding inclination, which is something you should read about, and I'll link to it in this blog post. But natural breastfeeding basically teaches that the natural way to breastfeed is leaning back, is lying down. So baby has full control of the latch and of the flow, and mom is comfortable and back is supported. So I no longer hunch over a boppy pillow like this with my back like this and breastfeed. Now I do it lying back, which is what I definitely recommend. Think it solves a lot of problems that many of us have experienced, but a pillow is a nice to have, not a must have in my opinion. I've also tried out the Medela Swing breast pump. I hate pumping, honestly. I don't like the feeling. I love breastfeeding, I hate pumping. It's one of the reasons that I went vegan. I suddenly really realized what the cows were going through, and basically I don't love it. But if you are going to have to pump, then you'll make it work for you. And the Swing is a really great pump because it's small and compact and fits in your backpack, and I really like that system. I also do really like the Tommy bottles because I just like the design, and they're squishy and fun. I don't know if they actually are easier for baby to hold. I think maybe handles make it easier for baby to hold. But this is only, much later on, 6 months plus, when baby starts drinking water. I use a bottle for water in that case. I also really like to have a nursing cover up, and I like the ones that have a wire in it so that you can see your baby. It kind of sits a little bit off of you, and you can look down and see your baby nursing, but no one else can see. What I'll sometimes do is have my baby in a carrier, have this over me, and I can even walk around and play with my other kids, or go shopping in the supermarket while my baby's nursing, and it's just the best feeling in the world. Baby falls asleep, and you know that they're safe and snug. It's worked for me. It doesn't work for everyone, but I've enjoyed it. And it does eventually start to hurt my back till baby wear, and that's when I'll be much more in the stroller. When it comes to feeding, I personally have loved the OXO high chair, and I've also loved the OXO spoons and bowls. So I'm going to link to those below as well. So the next thing I want to recommend is diapering. So diapering is a whole question to itself, and I recommend watching my EC video, Elimination Communication, which is all about the concept of going diaper free. I recommend doing it even if you don't do it full time. Potty your baby a little bit, just once a day from the beginning. It's a wonderful thing to maintain. It's a great way to connect to babies, and you make potty training so much easier and earlier. But watch that in my other video. This video I want to talk about pottying itself. I would definitely get just a simple, straightforward potty. No bells and whistles, no iPad stand. Yes, it's a real thing that they have iPad stands on potties now. It's true. But no characters, no crazy colors. Treat it like you would treat a toilet, a simple little toilet. So have a potty. And then with regards to diapers, I would either definitely go for an eco-friendly, non-bleached, no chemical, disposable diaper, which you will, throw away responsibly. Little known fact about me is that I actually had a cloth diapering company myself when we lived in Israel. So my cloth diapering passion is alive and strong. I believe in an all-in-one approach just because that is easiest. So if you're going for cloth diapers, I really love Bum Genius diapers. They're the closest to the diapers that I created in my own brand. I found them to be very high quality. But the truth is that you can get so many different types of cloth diapers. Don't get yourself too confused and too cray-cray about this. Pick one type, see if it works for you, then buy a few more of it and make it a system. It can get expensive very quickly, which is not the point of cloth diapering. You're supposed to save money, so don't go buying so many different ones. But they are very cute, and there is a little bit of a cloth diapering addiction. With regards to disposables, I really like 7th generation because I feel like I trust their brand, that they're really responsibly made. No disposable diaper is truly eco-friendly. In fact, no diaper is truly eco-friendly. I do not like any type of barrier cream. They're usually chemical and unhealthy for baby skin. I just don't like putting any extra thing on baby skin that they don't need. Clothing. When it comes to clothing, I think it's really important to buy clothes that are really comfortable. Now, this might sound strange, like it's a baby, of course it's comfortable, right? But people love to buy, denim dungarees or little jeans or little dresses with buttons and with zips. You really have to prioritize baby's comfort and their ability to move. And the great news is there's plenty of beautiful clothes when it comes to that. I would also be mindful of how gendered you want your clothes to be. I love some pink clothes for my girl, and I love, some boyish clothes for my boy. I'm not saying don't have gendered clothes at all, but if you're planning to have another child, then at least make some of the basics gender neutral. Some of the t-shirts, some of the hoodies, some of the pants, because you'll reuse them for your next baby. So big items like blankets, like baby boots or baby coats could easily be gender neutral, and then you'll be using them for your next baby. I think it's wonderful when you can get, environmentally responsible brands to buy clothes from, both for adults and for children. But the main thing I would really look out for is ease of use. Now, many poppers are not easy to use on an older baby. They run away easily, so I would prefer a zipper for that. And even better is one brand that I really love is called Magnificent Baby Wear, and it's all magnetic. So you just kind of put the onesie on the baby and touch it up, and it closes automatically because it's all magnets inside. That might not be something you're comfortable with. I have only a couple of them because they're a little bit pricey, but they were really fun to put on my baby and really easy. Another thing is that dresses for little baby girls are really cute and beautiful, and it's great to have a couple of cute pictures and stuff. But once a baby starts crawling, they cannot have ease of motion with a dress on. So you're always going to want to get pants and a top. Dresses, babies kind of crawl and they catch their knees on the dress and they can't move forward. So we don't want to limit our babies, and especially our baby girls, motion. Another thing I would be aware of is headbands that hurt. Some of them are really soft and cute, and that's fine. But anything that is hurting or limiting babies' natural movement is something to be aware of. Finally, let's look at the things you really do not want to buy. I would try and make it as clear as you can to friends and relatives who want to buy you gifts for your baby that you want to be extremely mindful, and that you have a very simplified and crunchy bent on baby products, so that you don't get flooded with a lot of gifts that you do not want. People love to buy big ticket items for babies, such as indoor swings, bouncers, all manner of contraption that hold baby in a place and entertain baby. I have to tell you that I've had 3 babies and I've never had a single one of these contraptions. Nothing that I have to strap my baby into and entertain them. Nothing that lights up or flashes or makes noises or plays music. The reason I don't have these is because I honestly don't believe in them. I don't think baby's range of motion should be limited in that way. They shouldn't be strapped into something. If they are awake and in a good mood, they should be flat on their backs where they can see the world and they can roll over and they can begin to explore on their own terms. And I don't believe in entertaining a baby from birth, because I believe that really interferes with their initiation, their authorship, and exploring the world on their own. So nothing that flashes, nothing that plays music, nothing that entertains the baby, and nothing that straps the baby in and shakes the baby or moves the baby or swings the baby. Another place that I love to shop for baby goods is IKEA. IKEA have a high chair that's I think about $30, and it's a great high chair. If they had that when I was starting out, I totally would have gotten it rather than the expensive one I have. But I do love the expensive one I have. It's beautiful, and it's served us for 3 babies, which is just fantastic. Another thing I love at IKEA is their potty, their cribs, their changing station. They have such great stuff. You really have to think about the fact that some of these your baby is going to outgrow very quickly, and you don't want another piece of furniture in your space just cluttering up. If there are items that you can borrow from friends, if you can get hand-me-downs, if you can get a rental system for a bassinet, for example, this is a great option because you really don't want to be spending money on things that you're going to outgrow so quickly. I also really love my very simple baby gymboree. I think it's great for a baby to have toys dangling down, simple toys to explore and to look at, such as a beautiful mobile or this baby gymboree, this wooden baby gymboree that I have. I love it because it folds away and it can be used later as a rack for, dress up clothes or for the baby's clothes. When it comes to toys, I love simple organic wooden teethers, a set of classic wooden blocks, and some squishy soft items for baby to squeeze on and explore. Maybe some rattles. But what you need to remember is that babies will love to explore your egg brush from your kitchen, your set of measuring cups, and your Tupperware, just as much as they'll enjoy their toys. So don't go crazy buying toys for baby. Let that happen slowly and let them be just natural, simple items that babies can explore. I think that's it, but there are probably more items I've forgotten, and I will put them into the shop as they come up. If this was helpful, you will want to sign up for my Parenting Junkie newsletter over on theparentingjunkie.com, which is where you will get your free guided meditation, and you will also be sure never to miss an episode of The Parenting Junkie. If this was helpful, I'd love it if you share it with anyone you know who's having a baby or who has a baby. It can really, really help them. So please send it their way. And leave your comments on this blog post at theparentingjunkie.com because I want to hear what your recommendations are. What served you well as a mother to a young baby or as a father to a young baby, and what would you totally have given up on and it was a waste of money? Help other mothers and leave your comment there now. Sorry, other parents. Help other parents and leave your comment there now.
The Parenting Junkie.